California is now going to be allowing families to get gun restraining orders on family members that they're concerned about. I've got concerns about my son. I think he might hurt someone.
Because these are special strangers in your life.
Well, yeah, as I was pointing out before, family is
weird.
just strangers you're born into.
It's weird.
And it's not uncommon for people who love the ideas of freedom to feel like they're the only person in their family who agrees, and they may very well be. And then to have the ability, because your family doesn't like your political viewpoint, to come down and abrogate your rights is a pretty scary idea.
Well, it's more than that. My dad is, for all intents and purposes, an objectivist as well. I mean, he liked Atlas Shrugged. He thought it was a little, long, unnecessarily long, but he liked it. And I mean, he's pretty much an objectivist for all intents and purposes. I grew up Republican, and my mom pretty much talks about the Republicans the way she talks about the Democrats. So I mean, they're pretty much libertarians and just call themselves Republicans. But I mean, that's not my gripe. I mean, it's weird. It's like, and especially since I moved away, I go home and it's like, these people, I don't really know these people that well. I mean, I know I grew up with them, but like, I went to great pangs throughout my high school years to avoid them, talking to them, because I'm a teenager and I don't want to talk to them. And then when I got to college, I moved away.
Yeah, I think
that's the result of government school.
It's weird.
That's true. I think there's something to what you're saying, though, that when you're growing up with these parents, even though you've been with them 24 hours a day or 16 hours a day or whatever, that ultimately your relationship between you and them as a child versus as a teenager versus as an adult, it changes.
And I haven't gotten to know them as an adult to adults because my mom treated me like a child for so long. And so, now that she's treating me more maturely, I wouldn't say maturely, but more maturely, it's weird.
Well, there is that problem that some parents have, right, where they don't want to see you as an adult, right? To some parents, you're always their child, and they'll continue to treat you in that way as though they're above you because they're older or whatever. That's not a problem I have with my parents, but what a problem I do have with at least my mother is that I don't want to really share my life with her because she doesn't have respect in a lot of ways for some of the things that I believe, and she's not really interested in hearing what's going on in my life. It's okay for us to talk about her and, her work, whatever she's doing at work and with her church or whatever, but as soon as we stray into the area of what I'm up to, then it becomes something that could be a conversation that might be dangerous, right? Because she could get upset. She doesn't like it when I talk about the freedom ideas because she's a Republican. She doesn't believe in freedom from her perspective. She believes
just
in
economic.
control. She believes in, I wouldn't even give her that.
No.
She believes in controlling others because she believes in the war on drugs and that you'd have to have, if you want economic freedom, you can't have a war on drugs.
No.
Because you should, if it's economic freedom that you want, you should allow other people
All
to sell and
businesses.
buy whatever it is they want to do. And so, I get into those conversations and she gets upset. So we don't really have a relationship in that way. And that's unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean, when you moved here, see, for 8 months, my mom kept asking when I was going to move home. And it's really, really funny because you'd think after like 3 months she would have gotten it. But like 8 months into it, I've got a job.
Last time we were with you 2 weeks ago, she was sending you text messages.
She was. I mean,
bugging you about that.
She texts me 24/7, and that's why I say more maturely, but not.
It's a little clingy.
If I tell her I'm going out, she'll be like, "Hey, text me when you get home so that I know you got home safe." And I'm like,
she's totally treating you like you're still a child.
Midway through the evening, I'm just like, I'm home.
Do you think a lot of people in this movement, and specifically when I say this movement, I mean the people that have moved to New Hampshire for the Free State Project, have bad relationships with their parents? I wonder what the breakdown is.
It's common. It's very common. And also the other trend that I've noticed is that a lot of people in the libertarian movement have like lost a lot of weight. There's like a whole huge group too.
That's true.
Yeah.
Completely unrelated. But now Mark
unrelated, but it's two things I've noticed.
You actually moved your mother into your property, so you've got a good relationship with Mom.
Yeah, she lives up here half the year.
Yeah, so that's great.
She moved for the Free State Project.
Did she really? She joined up?
I got her signed up.
That's great news. So
awesome.
You can do the same thing. Whether or not you've got a bad relationship with your parents, if you care about freedom, you should move up here to New Hampshire because the Free State Project is a great idea. The idea is to bring people together who actually love liberty and concentrate them in one place. And I think that at least at this stage of the game, we still have what are called early movers moving. So all three of us are early movers.
Yeah.
The Free State Project goal is to reach 20,000 signers, people who've pledged to move to New Hampshire. We've got over 16,000 right now. So we're over 80% of the way there. But until we reach that 20,000 mark, everybody who moves up until that point is an early mover. And I would just think that it's easier for somebody who feels more disconnected from their family to pick up and move their life.
What are the two numbers? I know that there are two numbers that were given when we move here, and one of mine is under 1,000. And I'm trying to remember.
And the mover number?
Yeah, there's a mover number, and then there's another number.
In-state number.
In-state number?
There's the number that has the amount of people that were already here, sort of when it happened, and then there's a signer number, and then there's an in-state mover and signer.
So
number.
To better explain that, when the vote happened for the Free State Project, because there were 10 different states that were candidate states, and the first 5,000 signers of the Free State Project voted on which state the destination should be. Mm-hmm. Well, of those 5,000 people, some of them were already living in New Hampshire. So there was like 250 or so that were already, maybe 275, that were already living in New Hampshire. So those people were already in state. So therefore, they can't be counted as movers because they didn't have to move here. Okay. So that's the difference between numbers.
So my number is like 997, and
cool.
I love it, like being in the first 1,000. And my other number is obviously larger than 1,000. But
come on up, join the fun at freestateproject.org.
Oh
Get the hell out of places like California.
Us.
California, I mean, why, if you care about freedom, California is one of the worst places to be, and it's not getting any better. There's no good news on the horizon for liberty in California. I mean, okay, yeah, they've got pot. Whoopie-doo. There's pot in New Hampshire, too. It's still illegal, but hopefully we're going to be changing that. New Hampshire does have a medical cannabis program now, and that's kind of moving forward.
It's been through the House several times. It just can't pass the Senate.
Medical cannabis has passed.
But you
mean decriminalization?
Yeah.
Or legalization?
So it's gone through the House several times. It hasn't gone through the Senate, but I think a lot of our candidates...
I think decrim did get through the Senate, and it got shot down by the governor this year.
I think that's what happened.
Yeah. Legalization didn't go through the Senate, but decrim did. Now, decriminalization, of course, means removing criminal penalties or lessening criminal penalties for cannabis, and I think that we'll hopefully see that happen sometime within the next few years.
You know, it's really, really, really scary when you have a Democratic governor and they still are like anti-pot. They're like
it's
still...
crazy. Well, Democrats and Republicans in New Hampshire aren't the same as what they are in other places.
That's true.
So, like, Republicans will vote for gay marriage, a lot of them in New Hampshire.
Yeah, they're more like libertarians.
While in many ways, well, not all of them, but while in many ways the Democrats will support gun rights in New Hampshire. So they're like libertarians in that way, too. So you really can't come to New Hampshire with any preconceived notions about that. It's Free Talk Live. More coming up.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.